Hi everyone, a very good evening to all of you. I welcome you all to another session of RBI 247 where we discuss finance current affairs. I hope you all are well and you're preparing for your exams. Now that the NABARD notification is out, all of you all who are preparing for NABARD can focus on that. However, this does not mean that if you are an RBI aspirant, you will miss out these classes. Finance current affairs is very important for RBI Grade B exam. So do not miss out these classes. You just have to make out half an hour every day to watch these sessions and उसके बाद आप revise चाहे बाद में कर लीजिएगा, but just take out half an hour every 3 days to understand these sessions. Okay, give me a thumbs up if I am audible to all of you and also if the board is visible. Okay. So in today's class, we are going to start with 3 topics, again related to RBI and one of them related to the government. We're going to start with basics. We will understand basics in every topic. So the first topic we have today is RBI's direction to NBFCs. The second topic is also on the similar lines. However, this is about UCBs. So what is happening is the governor of RBI's governor, who can tell me who is the current governor of RBI? I want you all to write the name of the current governor of RBI. बहुत easy question है. Okay. So the current governor of RBI, he is very active these days and the RBI is conducting meetings. Meetings conduct हो रही हैं for the heads of NBFCs, for the heads of UCBs tier 3 and 4. I am going to tell you about these tier later on. आज हम सिर्फ UCB के बारे में पढ़ेंगे. So the board of the UCBs are meeting, the heads of the board, and also NBFCs के जो chairmen हैं, CEOs हैं, MDs हैं, they are also meeting with the RBI and RBI is giving directions to them. And we are going to understand those directions, but we are also going to understand what is NBFCs and what is UCBs. Like I said, basics से start करके चलेंगे अब हम. Then the third is about sovereign green bonds. There is a high possibility that India will postpone the issuance of sovereign green bond. What are these sovereign green bonds? We will understand that in a minute. Okay, somebody said NBFC upper layer. Yes, we will understand that. आज नहीं, आज सिर्फ basics समझेंगे. In another lesson or whenever NBFC or UCBs are again in news, we are going to understand the scale-based framework of NBFC and the deposit-taking framework of UCB. Okay, motorcyclist, I hope I'm clear. Shaktikanta Das, जी बिल्कुल. ठीक है. Now, okay, before I start with the topic, the first topic, I wanted to discuss something. So last time, I think on Tuesday, we discussed this news about small value digital payments in offline mode. See, digital payments online mode पे होती हैं, but small value digital payments are also possible on the offline mode. This is what we understood. Now, इसकी limit enhance हो गई थी from rupees 200 to rupees 500. Now, there is something that I wanted to mention here. There were also doubts about this. So, initially, a pilot project was launched in 2020. A pilot project was launched in 2020. What was this pilot project? The pilot project was this only. कि small value की digital transactions will now be possible in the offline mode. That was the pilot project. जिसमें RBI came out with certain guidelines. What is pilot? Pilot is when you test something or when it comes for the very first time. But however, what happened? So after a pilot test is done, the government or whatever organization, in this case, hamari RBI, so what they do is they either make it permanent or they retract it from the market. In this case, what happened? So after the pilot testing was done in 2021, it was decided that we are going to make this change or this step permanent. इसको अब हम permanent करेंगे. Now in 2021, so the pilot was held September 2020 से July 2021 तक, and after looking at the feedback from this pilot project, it was launched. It was decided that this is going to be permanent across the country. तो pilot mode जो था, it was on a limited scale. कुछ states, कुछ cities में ही ये सबसे पहले launch हुआ था. But after encouraging feedback, it was decided that permanently it is going to be launched. तो अब जो enhancement हुई है, it is not on the pilot project only because pilot project तो अब है ही नहीं. It was just for 2020 to 2021. 2021 के बाद it is permanent. Okay. So this is one change I wanted to discuss. If in case last session में किसी को doubt था, So I hope it is clear now. Okay. Now, let us start with the first news, which is RBI's directions to NBFCs. Now, like I said, the governor of RBI or RBI as a whole, they are now focusing on giving directions to various organizations, to various entities, to various financial institutions. और first जो financial institution आया है उनकी एक limelight में, and they are giving directions. हमने static में पढ़ा है, we have studied about moral suasion, we have studied about penal actions. So moral suasion या penal actions, इसमें होता क्या है? The RBI gives directions. Now this moral suasion penal action वो अलग topic है, it is related to money supply, right? But otherwise also, because the RBI is the entity which is regulating and supervising various other banks or financial institutions, also all India financial institutions. What happens is, from time to time, it keeps giving directions. These directions are related to various things. These could be related to the lending, जो कि proper नहीं हो रही है. Let's say banks proper lending नहीं कर रहे. It could be related to governance. So corporate governance हमारा important topic है in finance. Under this also, RBI keeps giving directions. RBI keeps checking. क्योंकि RBI supervisor है. Under its supervisory power, RBI keeps checking कि corporate governance rules follow हो रहे हैं या नहीं. After it checks it or after it gauges the situation कि currently NBFCs में क्या चल रहा है, banks में क्या चल रहा है, meetings होती हैं and in meetings में directions दी जाती हैं, instruct किया जाता है various financial institutions को कि ये problem है and इनको ऐसे ऐसे अब आप solve करेंगे, and we don't want कि future में ऐसी problem हो. Okay, now face-to-face mode. Okay, so keep going is asking what is face-to-face mode. What does that mean? Face-to-face mode is जब आप payment सामने खड़े होके कर रहे हो and not अपने घर से कर रहे हो. Okay, that is face-to-face mode. In that vicinity only. Okay. Now the RBI has instructed the NBFCs to decrease their dependence on the bank borrowing. So what was happening? The NBFCs were over-relying on the banks. Banks से बहुत ज़्यादा पैसा उठा रहे थे. That is the issue. Now what happens is NBFC, they are a volatile entity, which means when we talk about volatile, we mean कि अगर इनमें कोई problem होगी तो ripple effect economy में आएगा ही आएगा. I don't know if you know this, but IL&FS का केस अगर आपको याद हो तो बहुत ज्यादा impact पड़ा था banking sector में. And we, the general public, we are connected to the banking sector directly, not even indirectly, directly. And these NBFCs are connected to the banks. How? इनकी direct lending and borrowing banks से होती है. So that is why now the RBI has said that the NBFCs are now over-relying on the banks for loans. तो उनका जो अपना exposure है, their own exposure is more from the banks. अगर आपको पैसा उठाना है, there are other means also, but most of their exposure is from the banks only, which means जो exposure है, a major part is from banks, the loans that they have taken. So the RBI is asking कि आप your reliance on the banks should be limited. Okay, should be curbed. So over reliance जो हो रहा है banking sector में उसको कम करा जाए. Now recently the governor conducted a meeting. We have discussed this. RBI's directions किस basis पे हैं या क्या directions हैं to the NBFC sector, एक बार वो देख लेते हैं. The concerns are about unsecured loan growth. We are going to understand that in a minute. Over reliance on the bank borrowing, ये हमने समझ लिया. However, we are going to understand that, and the need to remain alert to avoid any complacency during the good times. Meaning कि good times अगर चल रहे हैं, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप unscrupulous खुद की lending करते जाओ so that bad times में आपके पास कुछ भी ना हो. Okay, so good times में yes, you still have to maintain buffers. It does not mean that good times में you will keep lending, you will not have buffers, क्योंकि वो buffers जो आप good time में maintain करते हैं, they are going to help you in the bad times. Now what do I mean by buffer? Buffer is जो आपके पास पैसा है, all the money that you have with yourself, you are going to keep certain aside in the form of capital, in case it is loans, in the form of capital या in the form of जो extra deposit आ रही है, right? तो आप liquidity maintain करके चलोगे अपने पास, so that in bad times something unfortunate would not happen. यहाँ तक clear है? Now एक बार quickly देख लेते हैं what is NBFC and then we'll come back to the news. न्यूज बस इतनी है, the RBI governor has given certain directions in this meeting कि banks जो हैं कुछ चीजें ना करें. What are these things? We are going to understand in 1 minute. Take a pause, come to what is NBFC. Okay. Okay, NBFC. Now, NBFC, non-banking financing company or financial company. नाम से ही समझ आ रहा है, it is a company whose function is related to somewhere in the financial sector. कुछ financial sector में ही काम हो रहा है. However, these are not banks, which means banks से तो कोई difference होगा ही होगा. So, firstly, it is a company. It is a company registered under the Companies Act 1956. What is its business? It is financial business. But कैसा business? Business of loans and advances, government securities acquisition, that is one of the business. उसके अलावा securities easing, hire purchase, insurance business, chit business, जो chit funds होते हैं, जहाँ पे सब in chit fund everybody collects money and further that money is invested somewhere and going forward आपको पैसा मिल जाता है on that chit fund, right? So chit business, these are various kind of financial business. इसके अलावा और भी बहुत सारे business है, asset financing, हाउस फाइनेंसिंग, हाउसिंग फाइनेंस प्रोवाइड करना. तो ऐसे ध्यान से देखोगे तो ये सारे बिजनेसेस दे आर रिलेटेड टू द फाइनेंशियल सेक्टर. हाउएवर दे आर नॉट बैंक्स. दे आर नॉट बैंक्स. मतलब कुछ तो ऐसा होगा दैट दे आर नॉट बैंक्स. व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस? लीजिंग, यस. मार्केटेबल सिक्योरिटीज लीजिंग, नॉट ईजिंग. यस, यू आर राइट, इट इज लीजिंग. मोटरसाइकिलिस्ट इज राइट, इट इज लीजिंग. ठीक है. नाउ financial institution is at a company, ये हमने समझ लिया. Now it is performing functions in the financial sector. These are various kind of functions that an NBFC performs. However, there are certain functions that an NBFC cannot perform, जैसे agriculture operations, industrial activity, purchase and sale of any goods other than security. मतलब security purchase and sale कर सकते हैं, but any goods नहीं होना चाहिए. कल को मोटरसाइकिल आप सेल नहीं कर सकते because that is a good. Providing any services and जैसे डॉक्टर की या कोई ऐसी प्रोफेशनल सर्विस, एंड अदर देन दैट सेल परचेज, कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी, ये भी दीज आर सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ बिजनेसेस दैट एन एनबीएफसी कैन नॉट परफॉर्म. ओके, नाउ अब फर्दर डेफिनेशन में आगे बढ़ते हुए, इफ अ कंपनी मीट्स द प्रिंसिपल बिजनेस क्राइटेरिया इट इज एन एनबीएफसी. एंड अ प्रिंसिपल बिजनेस क्राइटेरिया मीन्स कि जो भी उसका प्रिंसिपल बिजनेस है, इन केस फाइनेंशियल एसेट्स आर मोर देन 50%, excluding FD को हटाओ, 50% of its total assets, then also it becomes a NBFC. Income from all the financial assets is more than 50% of its gross income, then also it is an NBFC. इसका मतलब क्या है? When we are talking about F, we said financial activities. अब वो financial activities पता कैसे चलेंगी? That 50% of the financial assets are more than 50% of its total assets. जो भी उनके total assets है, उनमें 50% से ज्यादा ही financial assets है. Okay, and their income is also from the financial assets only. So that is how we know it is an NBFC. And यही है इनका principal business criteria. Principal business आप जो भी perform कर रहे हो, if in that principal business, let's suppose HFC है, housing finance company, and this HFC tells the economy, the world, कि हम housing finance provide करते हैं, finance provide करते हैं towards the housing sector. Now in this case, what happens? Their principal business is providing finance, providing loans to individuals, to other organizations, ताकि वो housing sector में invest कर सके या house ले सके. That is the principal business, which means 50% से ज्यादा उनके जो assets हैं, they are related to this principal, to this housing finance only. Okay? Okay, एक second में बता रही हूँ, Nitish का doubt we are taking in a minute. Now, so what you are asking is something related to the banking sector. How are they different from the banks? According to RBI, banks and NBFCs can be distinguished. How? Unlike banks, NBFCs cannot accept demand deposit. Just like I said, they are NBFC, which means they are non-banking companies, which means that they cannot accept demand deposit. सबसे पहले. Then, they do not form part of the payment and settlement system, which means they cannot issue check drawn on themselves. वो check issue नहीं कर सकते, जैसे banks करते हैं. If you go to a bank and ask for a checkbook, you will get a checkbook, right? Which cannot be done by an NBFC. Similarly, DICGC. Static के students को पता होगा DICGC. I'm sorry, not static, but enrolled students को पता होगा. In finance static, we have studied about DICGC, a subsidiary of RBI. You all know that it provides guarantee to the loans, or to your deposits. So, Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation provides insurance to your deposits in case अगर बैंक liquidate हो जाता है या बैंक fail हो जाता है. This is not available on the depositors of NBFC. Okay. Now this was about NBFC. बहुत तरीके से NBFC registered होती है. They are registered with the RBI, they are registered with the SEBI. So these are various kind of NBFCs and who are they regulated by and who are they registered. तो ये यहाँ से explain हो जाएगा. Now let us look at the issue that was there. So I told you that these NBFCs are over relying on the banking sector when it comes to taking loan, which means इनका बहुत सारा पैसा banking sector से आ रहा है. Now in case they default or in case उनका business खुद से अच्छा नहीं चल रहा, see there is something known as a twin balance sheet problem. Twin balance sheet problem. Twin balance sheet क्या होता है? When a bank is giving loan to a company, ठीक है, किसी भी कंपनी को दिया है, लेट्स सपोज कोई भी कंपनी है, चाहे एनबीएफसी हो या ना हो, एनी कंपनी, द बैंक इज गिवन लोन, द बैंक इज ऑलवेज कंसर्न्ड. व्हाई इज दिस बैंक ऑलवेज कंसर्न्ड? दे आर ऑलवेज कंसर्न्ड अबाउट द फंक्शनिंग ऑफ दिस कंपनी, ये सही से फंक्शन करेगी या नहीं करेगी. इन केस द ऑपरेशंस ऑफ दिस कंपनी आर नॉट गोइंग वेल, व्हाट विल हैपन? दे विल नॉट रीपे द लोन. चाहे वो कंपनी कुछ भी कर रही हो, as long as it is not functioning properly, they are not going to pay back the loan, and that is why the banks are always worried. यही केस है. NBFCs ने इतना सारा पैसा बैंकिंग सेक्टर से उठाया हुआ है. The banks are supposed to be taking deposits from the public. They are supposed to be giving loans to the public. Now what happens? अगर वो NBFCs को इतना पैसा दे रहे हैं and the NBFCs are not performing well, बहुत केसेस में फ्रॉड भी हुए हैं. दीवान हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कॉर्पोरेशन, तो ऐसे कुछ कंपनीज में बहुत फ्रॉड्स हुए हैं. व्हेन फ्रॉड्स टेक प्लेस तो पता लगता है कि उनका 80% पैसा तो बैंकिंग सेक्टर से ही था. व्हाट हैपेंस? ओवर रिलायंस ऑन द बैंकिंग सेक्टर. देयर एक्सपोजर इज टुवर्ड्स द फ्रॉम द बैंकिंग सेक्टर ओनली. ओके, आई एम गोइंग टू टेक योर डाउट्स इन अ मिनट. सो द मीटिंग और द रेगुलेटरी एक्शन दैट वाज टेकन इट एम्स टू इंश्योर द स्टेबिलिटी एंड सस्टेनेबिलिटी ऑफ द एनबीएफसी सेक्टर. सजेशंस क्या है? सजेशंस, he said that there is a need to further strengthen the governance standard. I told you about कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस, कि जो भी आप उल्टे सीधे बिजनेस कर रहे हो, दैट शुड नॉट बी डन. एंड अश्योरेंस मैकेनिज्म, कौन से अश्योरेंस मैकेनिज्म? कंप्लायंस, कंप्लायंस विद द रूल्स, कंप्लायंस विद द रेगुलेशंस. रिस्क मैनेजमेंट, रिस्की बिजनेसेस कम करो. एंड देन इंटरनल ऑडिट, प्रॉपर इंटरनल ऑडिट होनी चाहिए. सो दीज आर सर्टेन सजेशंस दैट वर गिवन बाय द आरबीआई. नाउ डाइवर्सिफिकेशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेज, ये सबसे पहले आरबीआई ने बोला देयर शुड बी डाइवर्सिफिकेशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेज. तो जो एनबीएफसीज हैं, द एनबीएफसीज एंड द हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनी, वी आर गोइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस इन अ मिनट. व्हाट इज अ हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनी? सो द आरबीआई हैज सेड दैट एनबीएफसीज एंड एचएफसीज, जो कि एनबीएफसीज ही हैं, दे शुड डाइवर्सिफाई देयर फंडिंग सोर्सेज. जो आपने बैंक से इतना पैसा उठाया हुआ है, यू शुड डाइवर्सिफाई योर फंडिंग सोर्सेज टू रिड्यूस रिलायंस ऑन द बैंक बोरोइंग. दिस आई हैव एक्सप्लेन्ड. Rising bank borrowing, ये डेटा से समझ आया है that there is a huge rise in the bank borrowing and it requires closer supervision. वो कौन सुपरवाइज करेगा? आरबीआई. Then credit growth and risk. अब बैंक्स क्या, सॉरी एनबीएफसीज क्या करते हैं? These NBFCs, अब इनका भी काम है लेंडिंग में, बहुत बार लोन प्रोवाइड करते हैं, फाइनेंसेस प्रोवाइड करते हैं. जैसे एचएफसी है, they are providing finances. Now what a lot of times what they do is there is unsecured retail loans that they give. When you give unsecured retail loan, you will not get your money back, क्योंकि unsecured retail loan आपने दे रखा है. When there is unsecured retail loan that you have given, you will not pay back the bank. और बैंक में डिपॉजिटर्स का पैसा है, तो बैंक भी प्रॉब्लम में आ गया, डिपॉजिटर्स भी प्रॉब्लम में आ गए बिकॉज ऑफ दिस एनबीएफसी, क्योंकि उन्होंने क्या करा था? अनसिक्योर्ड रिटेल लोन. इसके अलावा दे हैव आल्सो सेड, ओके हाँ, तो ये हमने समझ लिया, पोजेस अ फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम, risk in the financial system if not managed properly. Now this again what they have said is that there is a need for financial health check of the NBFCs, which means they do not become complacent during good times and maintain financial discipline. The RBI wants कि good times में ऐसा नहीं है कि आप lending करते रहो क्योंकि पैसा अभी तो वापस आ रहा है temporarily. You know, in this morning class only I was explaining about this housing boom जो आया था after 2008, and a lot of housing finance companies, a lot of banks, they started providing loan to people in the real estate sector because housing boom चल रहा था, prices बहुत बढ़ रहे थे. So banks assume कि prices बढ़ रहे हैं, they are going to get profit, वो profit कमाएंगे तो हम high interest पे loan दे सकते हैं and our loan will be, we will get back the loan, right? So that was happening. Now अब ये good times हैं तो banks are assuming कि हम और lending करें. However, they should not become more complacent in the good times and they should maintain financial stability. Okay, this we have done and this we also have understood. Now, this is an old news, 2019 का snippet है from a news where again it was shown कि बैंक ने credit NBFCs को बहुत ज्यादा दे रखा है. This was shown in 2019 भी यही situation थी and again the RBI has given directions to the NBFCs. Okay. Now let us just quickly understand what is housing finance company. इससे पहले if there is any problem let me know. Lehman Brothers बाहर का है, इंडिया में नहीं है. Okay. Okay, I don't think there's any doubt. ठीक है. Okay, Jay is saying US housing boom. ठीक है, US में आया था, but in India also there was a boom in the housing sector, in the real estate sector after 2008. ठीक है. Insurance are not NBFCs. Okay, चलो ठीक है, there is no problem I think. इंद्रानी, twin balance sheet problem आपको समझ आ जाएगा if you watch the session again. Twin balance sheet problem is जब banks, the companies that have taken loan, ध्यान से सुनना, the companies that have taken loan from the banks, they are not performing well because of any reason. They are not performing well. When they are not performing well, they are not earning. तो क्या हो गया? When they are not earning, उनकी balance sheet खराब हो गई. Now, अब banks की balance sheet कैसे खराब हो रही है? Because these companies have taken huge loan from the banks. अब banks को the asset of the banks, that is the loan of the bank, they will not be repaid by this borrower, this company which is in default already. तो banks की balance sheet खराब हो गई. तो इस situation में क्या हो रहा है? Two balance sheets are getting affected. The balance sheet of the borrower, which is the company, and the balance sheet of the lender, which is the banks. So दो balance sheet पे effect आ रहा है. This was twin balance sheet problem, twin balance sheet issue or twin balance sheet crisis. Okay. Okay. चलो, हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनी क्विकली समझ लेते हैं. आई हैव ऑलरेडी टोल्ड यू जिनके फाइनेंशियल एसेट्स आर रिलेटेड टू प्रोवाइडिंग फाइनेंस टू द हाउसिंग सेक्टर. ठीक है. इट मीन्स अ कंपनी इनकॉर्पोरेटेड अंडर द कंपनीज एक्ट. ठीक है, ये तो एनबीएफसी की डेफिनेशन है. कंपनी इनकॉर्पोरेटेड अंडर द कंपनीज एक्ट 2013. इट इज एन एनबीएफसी whose financial assets in the business of providing finance of housing constitute at least 60% of the total assets. तो जितने भी assets हैं वो टोटल एसेट्स जो हैं वो इस नेचर के हैं. दिस इज द नेचर, प्रोवाइडिंग फाइनेंस टू द हाउसिंग. ठीक है. एसेट्स क्यों हम इनको बोल रहे हैं? व्हेन यू प्रोवाइड फाइनेंस टू द एसेट, फाइनेंस टू द हाउसिंग, यू गेट अ रिटर्न. आपने फाइनेंस दिया हुआ है, यू विल गेट अ रिटर्न. जिस पे आपको रिटर्न मिलता है वो आपका एसेट ही तो होता है. इट इज अ फाइनेंशियल एसेट. ओके, ठीक है. आउट ऑफ दीज टोटल एसेट्स, नॉट लेस देन 50% शुड बी बाय द वे ऑफ हाउसिंग फाइनेंस फॉर इंडिविजुअल्स. हाउसिंग फाइनेंस फॉर इंडिविजुअल. ठीक है. नेटिंग ऑफ बाय इंटैंजिबल एसेट्स, इट मींस कि टोटल एसेट में से इंटैंजिबल एसेट हम नहीं देख रहे अभी. ओके, इंटैंजिबल एसेट्स लाइक गुडविल, इंटैंजिबल एसेट्स लाइक ट्रेडमार्क, ओके, पेटेंट्स. चलो, नाउ owned fund and net owned fund, I have already explained it to you. Owned fund is paid up equity capital, preference shares, compulsorily convertible equity, free reserves, balance in the share premium. मोटा मोटा कुछ नहीं. The owned fund of the company, कंपनी का जो खुद का पैसा लगा हुआ है, चाहे वो इक्विटी से उठाया है, और प्रेफरेंस शेयर विच आर कन्वर्टेबल इनटू इक्विटी शेयर. ओके, सो द फंड दैट इज ईदर शेयर होल्डर्स फंड और कंपनीज ओनर्स फंड, इट इज ओन फंड, जिसमें से हम कुछ चीजें डिडक्ट कर देते हैं टू गेट टू नेट ओन्ड फंड. वी सबट्रैक्ट सर्टेन थिंग्स, जैसे इन्वेस्टमेंट ऑफ सच कंपनी इन शेयर्स ऑफ इट्स ओन सब्सिडरीज. ओके, और कंपनीज इन द सेम ग्रुप. अगर खुद की सब्सिडरी में आपने पैसा लगाया हुआ है, यू विल डिडक्ट दैट अमाउंट. ओके, यू विल डिडक्ट दैट अमाउंट. तब जाके आता है नेट ओन्ड फंड. वेयर आर वी अंडरस्टैंडिंग नेट ओन्ड फंड? टू जस्ट क्विकली सी कि एचएफसीज का नेट ओन्ड फंड कितना है एज पर आरबीआई. 20 करोड़. 20 करोड़ as the minimum NOF required for a company to commence housing finance as its principal business. ठीक है. Now, why am I asking you to to learn this, or why am I teaching this? Is because the reason I'm teaching this is because there was a question in phase 1. The microfinance institutes which are working, NBFCs microfinance. NBFC microfinance which are working in the northeast sector, what is their net owned fund? कुछ I think यही था, net owned fund या capital, दोनों में से एक ही यही क्वेश्चन था. either it was about net owned fund or about capital. ठीक है. So this was the first news about NBFCs and RBI directions to NBFCs. Is there any doubt? Okay, ठीक है. Parijat Sen is asking, what does microfinance companies do? They provide छोटा amount का finance to individuals, to the housing, to individuals. Microfinance छोटे finance provide करते हैं. There is a threshold which is given by the RBI for this. HFC is a type of NBFC only. Nitish, okay. चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. This is the second न्यूज. अगेन जैसे मैंने समझाया एनबीएफसीज को डायरेक्शन मिले थे, सिमिलरली यूसीबी के बोर्ड को डायरेक्शन मिले हैं. ओके, द अर्बन कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स, द बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स ऑफ द अर्बन कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स, इनकी कॉन्फ्रेंस हुई थी विद द आरबीआई गवर्नर, विद द आरबीआई मेंबर्स, एंड उसमें उनको कुछ डायरेक्शंस मिली हैं. लेट अस लुक एट दैट. There was a conference on the theme governance in banks driving sustainable growth and stability. The conference was held in Mumbai सबसे पहले. Then there were various deputy governors who joined the conference and other members who joined the conference. ये हमारे लिए इतना important नहीं है because it will not be asked in exam. Now, the RBI has called the directors of the urban cooperative banks किस चीज के लिए? To enhance their governance practices, focusing on risk management, compliance and internal audit. Same ही बात है जो NBFCs को बोला गया है वही UCBs को भी बोला जा रहा है. As per the RBI's governor, the quality of the governance is of utmost important and ensuring the stability of individual banks, and urged the UCB directors to further strengthen their governance practices. कुछ ना कुछ प्रॉब्लम चल रही होगी. That is why RBI has said कि अपनी गवर्नेंस जो कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस है वो फंक्शन अच्छे से होना चाहिए परफॉर्म इन द अर्बन कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स. Now, the first thing that was said was there is a need for enhancing governance, under which he said, okay, now there should be emphasis on various aspects of UCBs board operations which aligns with the RBI's continued efforts to strengthen the governance. ये theoretical है, इसमें कुछ explain करने वाला नहीं है. This is what one of the directions was for the UCBs. I cannot explain this. Proper risk management होनी चाहिए, ensuring stability, transparency. This is where the focus should be. Okay, I'm moving on to the next slide. Nobody will say कि इसमें समझाया नहीं हमको अच्छे से. It is theoretical. Internal audit. Okay, Shreya is asking internal audit क्या है? See, there are two kinds of audit, internal audit and external audit. Internal audit is जो भी आपका business है, the primary business that you have or any business that any company is conducting. हमारे केस में बैंक, there should always be internal audit, meaning check that the function that you are performing, that you are showing in your financial statement. For example, मैंने अपनी balance sheet में दिखाया है that I have assets worth 1 crore rupees. Do I have these assets? Okay, if I say that मैंने loan दिए हैं 2 crore के, what is the proof that I have given a loan for 2 crore rupees, right? So when there is an auditor who verifies कि actually में true है या नहीं है, it is internal audit. Internal audit is something that is done by the member which is in the company, उसको हम auditor बोलते हैं या internal auditor, and फिर वो एक external auditor भी होता है, which in India are chartered accountants. Okay. Now, अब RBI ने क्या बोला है इनको? RBI has cautioned the directors of UCBs against employing, तो कुछ like I said कि कुछ तो प्रॉब्लम चल रही होगी. What they have said is कि जो आप innovative accounting practices लेके आ रहे हैं to hide the actual financial status of the bank, that should not be done. अब इसको आप कनेक्ट करेंगे इंटरनल ऑडिट से. What they are doing is innovative accounting practices. ऑडिट में यही होता है, जो भी आपकी अकाउंटिंग प्रैक्टिसेस है, जो भी आपने अपनी बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स BOA बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स में दिखाया है, एवरीथिंग दैट यू आर शोइंग और रिप्रेजेंटिंग और प्रेजेंटिंग इन द बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स, इज इट ट्रू और नॉट? ओके, इज इट वेरीफाइबल और नॉट? राइट, दिस इज द फंक्शन ऑफ इंटरनल ऑडिट. अब आप इन दोनों कुछ को कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं दैट सम इशू वाज गोइंग ऑन, तभी मीटिंग हुई है, तभी कॉन्फ्रेंस हुई है, तभी डांट पड़ी है इन सब यूसीबी के बोर्ड को. ओके, देन देयर इज ऑल्सो मैनेजिंग रिस्क. बहुत तरीके के रिस्क होते हैं, या आप फाइनेंस स्टैटिक में पढ़ेंगे, वेरियस काइंड ऑफ रिस्क आर इन्वॉल्व. लिक्विडिटी रिस्क, whether you have enough liquidity in the banks or not. In case you do not have enough liquidity, what will happen? तो ये risky situation है, that is liquidity risk. Cyber security risk, credit risk, NPA recovery. These are various challenges. आप उन risks को manage करिए. This was told to the UCBs. Okay. Now, अब हम आते हैं what are cooperative banks. Very quickly we'll understand this. बहुत लोगों को पहले से ही पता होगा what are cooperative banks. But if in case anyone is new, quickly let's just understand. So there is a concept of cooperative society, which further became as cooperative credit society. Cooperative society mein what happens? The members of a group, so there is a group, the members of a group, they come together, they save their money, they pool their money and they lend among themselves. When they lend among themselves, it becomes a cooperative credit society. A cooperative society is nothing but a society of a group of members when they come together to perform any business. सबने एक society ने, एक village ने, एक let's say एक मोहल्ले ने, what they did, they came together and they started a business. When they're starting a business, कुछ operations कर रहे हैं, there are certain principles, one person, one vote, various kind of other principles जो कि cooperative societies में होते हैं. अमूल भी ऐसे ही start हुई थी cooperative societies में. तो जब आप एक business start करते हैं, that is a cooperative society. When you start giving credit among yourselves, किसी एक member को credit चाहिए, so everybody else will give the credit, it becomes a cooperative credit society. Further, a credit society, as long as it was giving loan to the member, it was a credit society. However, what started happening was they started giving loan to others. अब loan लेने के लिए पैसा चाहिए. In this case, what was happening was there were members and these members were contributing and lending to this person. तो पैसा इन्हीं का था. They had the deposits from among the members only. But now if you're lending to the outsiders, you need more money, you need more deposits, and what you are doing, you are going outside of the group to get deposits. When this started happening, तो उसके बाद this corporate credit society started turning into cooperative banks. उन्होंने बोला अब हम बैंक का काम कर ही रहे हैं, we should become a cooperative bank. So this was the whole background story. Layman terms में मैंने आपको समझा दी है. You can, go for the enrolled students, you can go through the notes, or otherwise there is this PPT to explain it to you what are cooperative banks and how did it come to place. Okay. Keep going is saying I used to work in one of the credit cooperative bank. Very good. That is nice. Okay. Cooperative banks are distinct from commercial banks. And they were born out of the concept of cooperative credit society. This I have explained, that the members from a community group together facilitate credit and loans to each other in a favorable term. See what happens is, I know I'm reading a little fast. It is because मैंने slowly आपको ये explain कर दिया है. And if I keep reading it, it is just double the effort and it is just time based. ये session 30 minute की जगह 40-50 minute का हो जाएगा, right? So the reason we are adding everything in the PPTs is because there are so many non-enrolled students who are watching these videos. And we want financial inclusion, spread of financial awareness. So आपको चीजें ऐसे ही समझ आएंगी if you get the notes. Okay, that is why we are adding everything in the notes. Okay, cooperative banks को दो तरीके से divide हुआ है: urban cooperative banks, rural cooperative banks. This news was about the urban cooperative banks. Now, urban cooperative banks, they are working in the urban and semi-urban areas. Which means rural cooperative banks या तो village level पे होंगे या district level पे होंगे, right? So that is rural cooperative bank. Right now we are talking about urban cooperative bank. Now this is the bifurcation. Urban cooperative banks, PACs, RRBs could be considered as differentiated banks as they operate in localized area. कुछ localized area में function करते हैं, इसीलिए this is another important statement. But हाँ, इनको हम बोल सकते हैं they are a form of differentiated banks. This is the history again. I have explained it to you. Now, again, this also I have explained it to you. Traditionally, they were only communities which came together and आपस में ही lending करते थे. Till then, it was cooperative credit society. But जब बाहर वालों को भी involve करा, you started functioning like a bank. So you became cooperative banks. अब एक rural area में भी cooperative banks हैं. There is, there is a different structure. In the rural areas, village level पे अलग है, district level पे अलग है, okay, state level पे अलग है, and similarly urban cooperative में भी अलग है. However, recently urban cooperatives को 4-tier structure में divide करा गया था. We will pick that up in one of the sessions. Do not worry. But इतना समझ लीजिए what is urban cooperative bank. Okay. Now, these banks came under the dual regulation of the respective state government and the government of the स्टेट गवर्नमेंट और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट एंड द आरबीआई. ओके, सो या तो साथ साथ स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के अंदर भी थे एंड आरबीआई के अंदर भी थे, राइट. सो देयर वाज डुअल कंट्रोल. ओके, एंड दिस वाज द रीजन बिकॉज इनिशियली कम्युनिटीज थे, कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज की तरह ही रजिस्टर्स होते थे. सो they are under the Cooperative Society Act of the state government or the central government as the case may be. Now this I have already told you 4-tier structure में divide हुए थे. We will take that up. Do not worry, slowly चलेंगे, एक साथ overwhelm नहीं होना है. N. Vishwanathan Committee was formed February 2021 में. On the recommendations of the company, the UCBs were divided into 4-tier structure based on their deposits. ओके, डू नॉट वरी, वी विल लर्न दिस. हम लोग सब कुछ धीरे धीरे समझ के चलेंगे. ओके, नाउ दिस वाज अबाउट द सेकंड न्यूज जिसमें अर्बन कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स को ओके, ब्लैक शैडो इज सेइंग पीडीएफ इज अपलोडेड ऑलरेडी टुडे. अर्बन कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स को आरबीआई ने डायरेक्शंस दी है. द रीजंस वी हैव अंडरस्टूड. कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस में इश्यूज थे, इंटरनल ऑडिट में इशू थे, साइबर सिक्योरिटी में इशू थे, रिस्क मैनेजमेंट में इशू थे. दीज वर द वेरियस इश्यूज. RBI started giving directions and we have also understood what are urban cooperative banks. Now, let us quickly come to the third news and the final news. This one is about sovereign green bond. It is highly likely that India will delay the sale of sovereign green bond. News बस इतनी सी है that India might delay the sale of sovereign green bond. Now, plan ये था that they will issue 15 to 16,000 crore के corporate sovereign green bond, SGB बोलते हैं, sovereign green bond. Okay, sovereign green bond. Now they are going to delay that. But हमारा question तो ये है मैम, what are sovereign green bond? So let's just break this statement. Sovereign green bond. Let's start with a bond. A bond is any instrument which is a debt instrument. If a company or any organization, in this case I'll tell you what the organization is. But let's suppose, अब हम bond की बात कर रहे हैं. When any company wants to get a loan, they issue bonds. Bond is nothing but an instrument of debt, where a company takes a debt from the investors and investors give money to the company. In that case, they issue a bond, which is a security. Now, this security is a bond. It is a debt instrument which makes the company liable to pay the debt in future along with interest, जिसको हम कूपन बोलते हैं in case of bond. इतना समझ आ गया? I hope you all know what is the meaning of bond. Then green bond. When you are raising money through the issue of bond, when a company or any entity which is authorized, allowed, when they are issuing money through bonds, when they are issuing bonds and raising money, okay, not issuing money, they are issuing bonds and raising money for the purpose of environment. For which purpose? To work towards environment, to work towards sustainable environment. That is green bond. What is sovereign? Sovereign is the government. The government, हमारी sovereign, हमारी government. So when the government is issuing bonds and the money, the proceeds of these bonds will be put in green projects, the projects which are working towards sustainable environment, जैसे सोलर हो गया या कोई और रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी हो गई, ग्रीन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो गया, ग्रीन सिटीज बनाना हो गया, स्मार्ट सिटीज और एनीथिंग लाइक दैट टुवर्ड्स सस्टेनेबल एनवायरनमेंट. एंड व्हेन द गवर्नमेंट इज डूइंग दैट, इट इज सॉवरेन ग्रीन बॉन्ड. अब सॉवरेन ग्रीन बॉन्ड का फ्रेमवर्क निकाला था गवर्नमेंट ने, जिसमें आरबीआई विल इशू द सॉवरेन ग्रीन बॉन्ड बिकॉज आरबीआई इज द बैंकर टू द गवर्नमेंट. ओके, now reasons for delay of issue of sovereign green bond, like I said, it is highly likely that the plan of the government will not be going forward, which means थोड़ा सा postpone करेंगे. Why? Because कुछ reasons है. सबसे पहले the investors are expecting high yield. Investor expect कर रहे हैं जो बाकी bonds पे investment में we get the return, we should get the same return towards in these sovereign green bond. Now why is this not possible? ये possible क्यों नहीं है? Can anyone tell me why is this not possible? मतलब problem क्या रही है? Where is the problem? If they are demanding more money, if they are demanding high yield, what is the problem? Where is the government having a problem? The problem is the government wants कि आप green bonds में अपनी श्रद्धा से पैसे दें, इसलिए क्योंकि environment में पैसा लग रहा है. The purpose is to work for the environment. The purpose is not कि आपको high yield मिलेगा. The government has never promoted these bonds in a way that it is telling you that these bonds will offer you high yield. That is not happening. The government is saying that through the issue of these bonds, we are going to put your money for the environment and at the same time you will earn return. अब ये return ज़्यादा होगा. This was not told by the government. So because the investors are expecting high demand, there is not a lot of investment which the government was expecting. Government चाहती थी that this is our plan, इतने करोड़ का हमको पैसा चाहिए. It was not happening. Why? Because the investors are not interested, because उनको पैसा कमाना है. That is what, it is visible here. Okay. The project will not give high return. See, the project is supposed to be working towards the environment. High return की expectation होनी ही नहीं चाहिए. The expectation should be कि थोड़ा बहुत return आ रहा है, but environment पे कितना ज़्यादा impact पड़ रहा है. Okay. Right. So, lack of yield benefits. Chandana, you can ask this question on on Telegram or discussion forum. Okay. Lack of yield benefits. This I have already explained. Investors are not willing to accept the similar yields as conventional bonds for green bonds, defeating the purpose of their environment focus. This I have explained it to you. Now again, the market has shown a slowdown in sustainably linked bonds, impacting the climate project funding. Already और जो companies हैं जो climate funding उठा रही हैं, they are also not, the impact there also is not good, and उनके पास भी ज़्यादा पैसा नहीं आ रहा है. They are also unable to raise a lot of funds. Then investor की preference change हो गई है. This also I have explained it to you. अब थोड़ा सा background में आते हैं. On 9th November 2022, the Department of Economic Affairs, Ministry of Finance के अंडर काम करता है ये department. It released the Sovereign Green Bond Framework, which outlines the duties of Indian government as a sovereign green bond issuer. तो कौन issue कर रहा है? Who is issuing these sovereign green bond? Who is issuing these green bonds? The government, the Indian government. Now, इस framework में क्या था? All the duties that the government will perform. पैसा कहाँ जाएगा? कितना interest मिलेगा? Everything was issued on this in this framework. कौन कौन से प्रोजेक्ट्स में फंडिंग जा सकती है? दिस वॉज टोल्ड एलिजिबल कैटेगरी, 9 एलिजिबल कैटेगरीज थी विच वॉज टोल्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट. आरबीआई को भी बताया था कि इन 9 कैटेगरी में हम पैसा लगाएंगे. व्हाट आर दीज? रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी. सी, दिस कैन बी आस्क्ड इन योर एग्जाम. इट कैन बी आस्क्ड इन डिस्क्रिप्टिव क्वेश्चन. दैट इज व्हाई आई हैव पिक्ड अप. Okay, I remember when I was teaching RBI 247 before, I told you कि sovereign green bond का question आ सकता है. I also gave in the mock test also, right, for descriptive answer writing. Now, what are the various projects? Renewable energy, energy efficiency, clean transportation, climate change adaptation, sustainable water waste management, green building, pollution prevention, sustainable management of living natural resources, terrestrial and aquatic biodiversity conservation. Now, एक क्वेश्चन है कि मैम ये सब याद करने हैं. Yes, you have to remember these. एकदम से नहीं होंगे, डू नॉट वरी. एग्जाम कल तो है नहीं. एग्जाम इज गोइंग टू टेक प्लेस नेक्स्ट ईयर. आराम से वी आर गोइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस. वी आर गोइंग टू लर्न दिस इन डिटेल सम अदर टाइम एज वेल. तो तब याद कर लेंगे. ओके, बट येस, यू हैव टू रिमेंबर. ओके, नाउ दिस वाज द लास्ट टॉपिक फॉर टुडे. लेट अस क्विकली कम टू क्वेश्चंस. बिफोर दैट, आवर लाइव क्लासेस फॉर आरबीआई कोर्स 2024 have started and you can also join the session if you want. अभी आपको डिस्काउंट भी मिल जाएगा अच्छा खासा. Now let's quickly move to questions. Question number 1. Which of the following are the reasons behind the RBI's recent direction to NBFCs to decrease their dependence on the bank borrowing? To encourage NBFCs to rely more on unsecured retail loan, concerns about the rapid growth of unsecured retail loans and associated risk, and to promote complacency during good times. What is the answer? The answer is 2 only. They were concerned about the rapid unsecured loans. Then, which of the following statements regarding NBFCs are correct? NBFCs can accept demand deposits. NBFCs are not part of the payment and settlement system and cannot issue checks. DICGC does not cover depositors of NBFC. What is the answer to this question? Okay, these are the options available. So, 3 and 2 B is the answer. Third question. What is the role of RBI in regulating UCBs in India? The RBI, ये आप आंसर करेंगे. You are going to answer this question. Third question, very easy. इससे ज़्यादा easy question तो कोई हो ही नहीं सकता. Okay. Third question, you're going to answer. The RBI governor recently conducted a meeting of the UCBs Board directors. What aspects of UCB governance did the RBI governor emphasize during the recent meeting of the UCB directors? The need for UCBs to focus on expanding their branch network. ये तो focus नहीं था. Importance of enhancing board level committee operations. UCBs should prioritize maximum profits above all other consideration. ये भी नहीं था. The answer is B. Enhancing board level committee operations. What is the main concern of investors regarding green bonds leading to demands for higher yields? अब ये again a very easy question. The correct answer here will be ये तो नहीं है, lack of clarity. Investors are not willing to accept similar yields. This is the right answer. And the Indian government has not allocated sufficient funds for the green initiatives. This is also incorrect. So the correct answer here is 2. And yes, reason-based question आते हैं. There was a question last year about IMF's projections. So IMF has projected कि India की GDP गिरेगी. What are the reasons that the IMF has said? That is why these reason-based questions are important and you have to learn them. With this, we come to the end of the session. If there's any doubt, you can let us know in the comment section below. I'm going to end the session. Thank you.